It's Wednesday, April 8th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Police charge a woman with murder in connection to a Cape Breton man's death. What is New Brunswick's plan to tackle the possibility of another summer of wildfires?
Sunny and milder weather to close out the week, but some April rain and showers expected Friday night into Saturday.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A 45-year-old Sydney woman is in custody tonight after being charged with the killing of a man. Police responded to a death in a home yesterday. CTV's Ryan McDonald is at the scene and has more details. Ryan?
Well, there's been a police presence again here today at this home in River Ryan, Nova Scotia, just outside of New Waterford, after police say they responded here to what they are calling a dispute that left a man dead. Cape Breton Regional Police say they were called to this home on Ryan Street at about 1 a.m. on Tuesday, where they found a 47-year-old man unresponsive. EHS arrived on scene and pronounced the man dead. Police said they arrested a woman at the home at that time. Today, they charged that woman, 45-year-old Carrie Ann Moles, with second-degree murder, adding that she has been remanded to the Cape Breton Correctional Centre. Police say the two people knew each other and that they are treating this as an isolated incident with no further risk to public safety. The man's identity has not been released pending completion of an autopsy and notification of next of kin, and police have not said how he died. Meanwhile, police say their major crime unit continues to investigate with assistance from the Forensic Ident Unit and the Medical Examiner's Office. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, River Ryan, Nova Scotia.
We have some breaking news now. In Nova Scotia, a fire is burning in downtown New Glasgow at this hour. In video shared online, thick smoke could be seen pouring from a building on Provo Street. New Glasgow Regional Police say Provo is closed between McLean and Jury Streets. People are being asked to avoid the area so emergency crews can do their work. There is no word on the cause of the fire. We will have an update at 11:30. Online, the oversight body CERT has charged an RCMP officer in Nova Scotia with uttering threats. And you can read about the details right now at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. A Cape Breton man who had been missing since late March has been found dead. Police say the body of Connor McDonald was found in a wooded area off Moosehead Trail in Myra Tuesday afternoon. Searches for McDonald took place throughout the Easter long weekend. A set of footprints, a new set, were found. That led to a helicopter and drone search. The drone operator then found the human remains. Police do not believe foul play was a factor in his death. A sudden two-week ceasefire in the war in Iran is fueling expectations of lower oil prices. But is it that simple? And if so, when could pump prices drop here? CTV's Jonathan McGinnis looks into that.
David Andrews' wife is seeing a lot less of her hybrid car these days.
So I've altered my behavior. Instead of driving my car to work here in town from Oakfield, I tend to drive hers.
Andrews drives a traditional gas-powered SUV, not something he wants to be filling up with gas prices over $1.87 a liter. A ceasefire agreed upon yesterday between the United States and Iran that included the opening of the Strait of Hormuz drove the price per barrel down by $20, something that wasn't reflected at the pumps today.
I'm sure there's lots of people that think there's reasons why gas shouldn't go down here, but it'd be really amazing if it did.
According to Eric Kirby from the Nova Scotia Energy Board, the international price dropped after the markets had already closed for the day.
If we saw a market movement happen last night after 4:30 into today, we as a board won't see that price as an official price until tomorrow morning when we come into work. An interruption is always a day or two later than you would see the market price movement.
The dropping oil prices could be short-lived. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz again Wednesday after Israel launched attacks on Lebanon. An Iranian general says aggression toward Lebanon is aggression toward Iran.
The coast is anything but clear yet. The ceasefire just happened. The market's very excited about the prospects, but there's still a lot of details that haven't been ironed out.
And that could again affect oil prices. The Nova Scotia Energy Board uses the interrupted clause if the price of gas changes from 6 to 8 cents a litre for more than a day. Well, Todd, Eric Kirby with the Energy Board says the perception is that they've used the interrupted clause more to increase the price of gas, when in fact he says it's the opposite. Since the board took over pricing, they've lowered gas prices more than they've put them up. Todd.
All right, that's interesting, John. I think you're right on that point. John McGuinness in Halifax tonight. All right, let's bring in CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell. We'll take a look at what seemed to be a pretty decent day today. After all the talk we had about snow, there was a bit of a skiff, but we saw John there in front of the gas station. It's a pretty nice evening.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, sunshine coming through and behind the passage of that low pressure system. By the way, speaking of snowfall amounts, there were a few areas that reported basically up to around a few centimeters of snow with that weather system. Whitehead there, so in the vicinity of Graham and Ann, reported about 4 centimeters of snow. Port Maitland, 3 centimeters, but at Yarmouth it was closer to 1 centimeter. Liverpool was a little bit higher. There was an early morning report there of close to 7 centimeters of snow. Duncan's Cove, around 4 centimeters. Halifax area, about 1 centimeter that melted away fairly quickly. Port Dufferin, about 3 centimeters. And then into parts of Cape Breton, there was 1 centimeter or 2 reported. That was about it for that weather system. Now, in behind it, as Todd mentioned, we had high pressure move back into place. So we saw clearing to become sunny for today, and that continues on as we're making our way towards this evening. And tonight is expected to be a very clear night for the Maritimes. Temperatures, though, are going to be getting colder during the overnight hours by early April standards, in a lot of cases falling a few to several degrees below zero. But that being said, you know, if you dress for some cool or chilly weather conditions, it could be a pretty ideal night to do some night sky viewing. Now, it's a waning gibbous moon. It's 65% illuminated, but the moon will be down for most of the night. It will be rising in the early morning hours of tomorrow, so you could look for it over the southern horizon Thursday morning. The planet Jupiter should be easy to spot, though, this evening after dark. That'll be high above the southwestern horizon. And if you're quick, you can spot the planet Venus setting on the western horizon just after sunset. You want to have a nice, good, open view of the western horizon if you're going to spot that planet. The aurora is unlikely tonight, and no visible passes from the International Space Station expected through April 14th. I'll have more on the forecast. We'll figure out how this week is going to come to a close and what's ahead for the weekend when I'm back a little bit later on, Todd.
You didn't mention the Artemis spacecraft. When can we see that?
It's a good question.
I don't think we'll be able.
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, splashes down Friday, I think, right? They are on their way home. Okay, thanks, Kaylin. We'll see you for the full forecast later. Now, as the warm weather returns, New Brunswick is gearing up for what could be another hot, dry summer. Hoping to avoid a repeat of last summer's forest fires, the province is making its seasonal wildfire watch permanent. Here's CTV's Nick Moore.
Our community. Flanked by members of New Brunswick's wildfire management team, the provincial government is launching the 2026 wildfire season early, with the province coming off one of its driest winters in a decade and 10 consecutive months of below normal precipitation.
Training so that we are more prepared than ever for this next season.
Premier Susan Holt says the province has converted 74 seasonal forest ranger positions into year-round positions.
Especially in a situation like this one where we may have an early season because of how dry it is today. We don't want to be waiting for somebody to be able to come back onto contract when we might need them sooner than we imagined.
Normally we would bring them in May, and then we have a training period to get them up to speed. If we have them ready to go sooner than when we mobilize, it gives us a larger pool of people to choose from. So right now we're choosing more of the permanent staff.
The provincial government is also adding 4 new Fire Boss aircrafts, which can scoop up water directly from lakes and rivers, in a contract with Forest Protection Limited.
They've arrived and they're down in Lincoln at the airport now. They're going to start practicing next week and getting ready for the season when they come online. April 20th is when the contracts with us start.
The provincial government has budgeted $6.7 million to improve fire preparedness and prevention in 2026-27. Last year, more than 400 wildfires were reported across New Brunswick, including one north of Miramichi that at one point grew to more than 1,400 hectares.
And we did not lose a single structure throughout the entire summer. So that's a testament for the strength, the skill that these women and men have.
Strength and skill that may be put to the test again. A report from Environment and Climate Change Canada says the summer ahead will likely be one of the hottest on record, comparable to last year. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
An unlicensed cannabis store in Moncton has been shut down, and that has prompted owners of the Indigenous business to speak out and challenge the move. CTV's Derek Haggett reports.
That's what they tell me.
Organizers called today's protest peaceful, but the owner of a shuttered Moncton cannabis dispensary is very angry.
We want to put Susan Holt and the Minister of Public Safety on blast.
The Il Nook Lounge was raided last Thursday by the province, and ownership says products and cash were seized. The building has been shut down. The province alleges offenses under the Tobacco Tax Act and Cannabis Control Act have been committed there.
That's a lie. We're going to prove that in court.
Il Nook has been raided 14 times in the past 3 years or so.
This is not illegal to us. I mean, we're Mi'kmaq. We have sovereign status. We are our own nation. They have no jurisdiction over us at all because we are on unceded Mi'kmaq territory.
A former national chief of the Assembly of First Nations was invited to Moncton to be part of the protest.
The province doesn't have any legal authority over the Mi'kmaq Nation. That's their problem, so they've got to sit down and talk. I can help them understand it.
Members of First Nations communities in Nova Scotia blocked highways last week to protest police raids of unlicensed cannabis dispensaries. 2 men were arrested in relation to the Cannabis Act, and cannabis products were seized. A spokesperson for New Brunswick's Department of Justice says circumstances differ from recent operations outside the province, and the Il Nook location in Moncton is not situated on First Nations territory. Cody Kaplan hopes the province releases the building to them by the end of the month. If that doesn't happen, he says they'll just open it right back up anyway. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
The current sitting of the Nova Scotia legislature is nearing its end. New polling from Angus Reid shows many Maritimers are frustrated with the rising cost of living, and it appears those frustrations are playing out in provincial approval ratings as well. CTV's Jesse Thomas is covering proceedings at Province House, where he joins us now. Jesse, the ruling parties in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, no doubt, looking at these numbers very closely.
Hey, Todd. Yeah, I'm sure they are, just as much as parties do their own polling to gauge, public sentiment. There's certainly going to be a lot of eyes on some of these new polling numbers, and there's been a lot of focus on numbers, even here at the Nova Scotia legislature, where the budget session has been underway for weeks now, and it's likely to wrap up either tonight or tomorrow as the PC party puts a bow on this budget. And just in time for some new polling numbers from Angus Reid that gathers the sentiment from Maritimers on how they feel about their government's performance on some big issues like healthcare, the cost of living, to housing, and even jobs in the economy. Have a look. Healthcare is a top issue, and 35% of Nova Scotians feel the province is doing a good job, giving the Houston government top marks of any government on that file in Atlantic Canada, while the number drops to 21% in New Brunswick. But when it comes to the cost of living, frustrations are high on both sides of the provincial border. 7 in 10 New Brunswickers, or 68%, believe their government is doing a poor job handling the rising costs, while that figure jumps to 78% in Nova Scotia, who feel the province could do better. Financially, many say they're falling behind. 52% of New Brunswickers say they're worse off than they were a year ago, the highest across the country, while in Nova Scotia, 40% believe they're worse off, both well above the national average.
Jesse, this is usually reflected then in how voters think about the party leaders and who they'd like to be premier. What are voters saying about that?
Lots of details in there, Todd. We've got an article on our website as well, but we can tell you when it comes to the leadership, we should say that Premier Holt in terms of the maritime premiers, has the most support. There's 54% of New Brunswickers feel that she's doing a good job. As for Premier Houston here in Nova Scotia, 39% of Nova Scotians polled say he's doing a good job. That's a slight decline, and that's why we can account for a swing with opposition leader Claudia Chender. 42% say they feel that she's doing a good job there. Now, Todd, a poll is just kind of a reflection of a time and place, and they're cyclical. Many do come out. We should tell our viewers, however, that there is no provincial election on the horizon for Nova Scotia or New Brunswick anytime soon.
Yeah, and that might be good news for both of those premiers. Thank you, Jesse Thomas at Province House in Halifax. There is a couple of years to turn those numbers around for both Premier Houston and Premier Holt. Thank you, Jesse. On the matter of rising prices, Premier Susan Holt says she's committed to making whatever changes are necessary to address NB Power's soaring rates. Premier Holt says New Brunswick's debt-ridden public utility will require structural changes to deliver predictable and affordable power for customers. A just released third-party review of NB Power found politically motivated decisions like rate freezes have added more than $1 billion to the utility's $6 billion debt.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Well, this certainly has a lot to do with how people feel about the economy. Home sales in Nova Scotia have dropped significantly in the past month. So did the number of properties put on the market. As CTV's Emma Convey reports, there are hopes of a bounce back as the typically busy spring season begins.
A look at recent activity in the provincial housing market shows a slump.
Our home sales are down about 9%.
The latest figures for March show an average residential home price sitting just below $464,000. Increasingly, realtor Ryan Powell tells sellers prices are softening.
The price that we think it's going to sell for is probably not comparable to what it would have sold for 2 years ago.
Fewer sales and listings typically turn around in the busy spring market, but it's not a bonanza for buyers or sellers. The Association of Realtors is seeing a more balanced market, though many buyers are determined to hold out for a deal.
I do have one listing in Cape Breton, and it is not getting a whole lot of traction, to be entirely honest. So I feel like it's a little bit different when you're looking in different parts of the province.
The report found prices aren't climbing as quickly in Halifax, Yarmouth, or Cape Breton, but things could rebound with the typical spring season ahead.
I've been working with a number of clients who have been preparing to sell, but they have all chosen to wait for springtime. So this is when they start to come on the market.
It'll be interesting to see, with all the inventory that's still on the market, plus an influx of sellers coming to market, what's going to happen.
There are a number of factors that could still shake up real estate. Uncertainty about the job market, trade issues, and the impact of the war in Iran.
We're getting ready for a spring market. However, this year, with the geopolitical and economic outlook right now, people are a little bit hesitant.
Now, the Nova Scotia Association of Realtors says the market here isn't falling quite as fast as other markets across Canada. It says the province is actually bucking the trend compared to other major cities like Toronto and Vancouver. Todd.
Thank you, Emma Convey in Halifax. There is an incident underway in southern New Brunswick, in Hampton. That's not far from St. John. We are told a double-long fuel truck has overturned on the highway heading in to the Hampton area. There are reports of leaks and possibly people trapped. That could include the driver of the truck. We have CTV's Avery McRae with this report. Avery?
Todd, very little is known about the accident, but we can confirm that Highway 1 between Hampton and Quispamsis is closed and will be for the foreseeable future. Now, very little is known about the accident itself, which happened in Nowidjawak, right in between Hampton and Quispamsis. Now, as for the accident itself, reports from the area indicate a double-long fuel truck overturned on the highway, and there were also reports the driver was trapped inside, but there is no update on the driver's status at this time. Police say they expect the closure to last several hours and will update the public when they can through social media. Now, Todd, this accident happened right before the evening rush hour, which is leading to some longer commutes home for some people. Now, since I got here at 5 o'clock, the traffic has seemed to pick up a little bit, but it's still going to be a longer drive home for people after the Wednesday workday. Todd.
Okay, Avery, thank you for that. Near Hampton, of course, if we get any updates, we will have them within the hour or at 11:30. We'll step aside for a break now, 19 minutes after 6 o'clock. Still to come on your Wednesday newscast. The snow has moved on with clear skies coming in. We'll get the latest forecast. But next, crime concerns for Canadian business.
Have some people running into stores and taking things.
New numbers show how much crime is happening and how it's top of mind for mom and pop shops. Across the Maritimes, businesses are growing increasingly frustrated by the amount of theft they're suffering. Last night, you may recall, we reported the City of Moncton is offering funds for shops to deal with losses and security. As CTV's Hafsa Arif reports, one industry lobby is demanding more for their members.
For some business owners, it starts with a missing item. For others, it's repeat incidents that are harder to ignore.
Our members are reporting more crime, more theft, or more issues with crime or disorderly conduct around their businesses.
New numbers from the Canadian Federation of Independent Business suggest incidents are climbing across Canada, with police reported shoplifting increasing by 14% since last year.
There's more policing, community policing, and different communities take different approaches. Are there some that might be working better than others? I would suspect that there are.
Which is the case in Nova Scotia and PEI, where thefts rank relatively low compared to New Brunswick. In downtown Dartmouth, year-over-year businesses are reporting an improvement.
So we did have some people running into stores and taking things. Our businesses have adapted. Sometimes they have more staff members on. Larger stores have security guards at the entrance.
Part of that shift may also come down to the changing mix of businesses.
We're heavy on the food and drink side, and our retail side is a little bit smaller than in other districts. But knock on wood, it's been a pretty good winter.
But that's not the case everywhere. For many, it's hoping stronger measures to combat retail crime can turn the tide. Meanwhile, new data on theft is coming from Stats Canada in the coming months, which could offer a clearer picture of just how widespread this issue has become. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Dartmouth.
Canadian Jeremy Hansen and his fellow Artemis astronauts are on their way home, bringing with them some of the most detailed photographs ever taken of the moon and plenty of advice for the next mission. More now from ABC's Jacqueline Lee.
NASA showing integrity under pressure today with a Bowie Queen wake-up song for the Artemis 2 crew. And NASA releasing this picture of the 4 astronauts in a group hug, naming the photo Moonjoy. With Artemis under 200,000 miles from Earth, overnight they completed the first of 3 trajectory burns to guide it towards Earth, where it's set to splash down off the California coast Friday evening.
Integrity preliminary look is a good burn.
The crew now turning their focus to one of the most dangerous parts of the mission, re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere.
Orion has shown itself to be a very capable capsule for beyond Earth orbit space travel.
Retired astronaut Jeffrey Hoffman flew on 5 space shuttle flights.
But really, the purpose of it is to test out the Orion capsule to make sure that it's able to protect the crew and keep them alive, healthy, and productive for the whole mission, and then bring them safely back through Earth atmosphere reentry, which is the big thing that still lies ahead.
The weather for splashdown requires winds below 28.7 miles per hour, wave heights under 6 feet, and no rain or lightning within 30 nautical miles of the site. So far, it's looking good. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And it's looking good around here, too. Some spring sun ahead for tomorrow. Kaylin will have the details in the full maritime forecast next. This is Tangier on the eastern shore of Nova Scotia, one of the prettier coastal areas in our region, where it's currently 3 degrees. And it's appropriate, Kaylin Mitchell, that we have this shot because we're going to talk about ocean conditions, that part of the province, because some of our fishermen will be heading out.
Yeah, a couple of the lobster zones starting tomorrow. This is a bit of a pilot project. They're actually starting 10 days earlier than they typically would. So April 9th instead of April 19th. It's for zones 31B and zones 32. 31A will still go on April 19th. They couldn't have picked a better weather day, though,
is that right?
to be heading out, because right now the weather conditions look like they're going to be very cooperative with an area of high pressure in place over the Maritimes. So in the morning, winds are going to be relatively light out of the south, between around 2 and 5 knots. They will increase a little bit throughout the day, so it'll become a little bit breezier by late afternoon and evening. Out of the south still between 10 and 15 knots. Wave heights expected to be 1 meter or less, and the weather conditions are going to be sunny. Very similar conditions look likely for that Eastern Shore Marine District for Friday as well, before there is a change Friday night and Saturday as a cold front moves in. And the winds on Saturday right now do look like they're going to increase initially out of the southwest between 20 and 25 knots, and then veering to become westerly with wind speeds near 25 knots as that front goes through. So that's that change coming up on Saturday. But the next couple of days, looking pretty good. Taking a look at the timeline then for cloud cover and precipitation around the Maritimes with that high pressure in place for tonight. We're looking at a clear but chilly night for the Maritime region. The overnight low temperatures will be headed down below the freezing mark across the Maritimes. Start of the day for tomorrow is going to be mostly sunny and brisk, and it's sunshine for the afternoon. There will be some changes for parts of New Brunswick later on Thursday evening as some cloud cover increases from over the St. Lawrence River Valley. And that will eventually, Thursday night, be accompanied by a chance of a couple of showers or a couple of flurries in the north of New Brunswick. And by early Friday morning, there's a chance that a few of those flurries or showers could linger down towards central parts of that province. New Brunswick on Friday, a bit more of a mix of sun and cloud. Still expecting fairly sunny conditions for both Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia. Winds in the forecast for tomorrow are going to become southerly. Out of the south and southwest in the afternoon, sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour with some gusts between 20 and 40, so breezy. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight around the Maritimes, falling a few to several degrees below the freezing mark. A little bit colder than that through some north and northwestern areas of New Brunswick with some lows between -9 and -12. But a nice bit of recovery in those temperatures into Thursday afternoon for the north of New Brunswick. High temperatures between 8 and 12 degrees. In central and southern areas of New Brunswick for tomorrow with a lot of high temperatures between 7 and 11 degrees. The single digits mostly in around the Bay of Fundy coastline where that south wind will be a little bit more onshore. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow can expect high temperatures between 6 and 10 degrees. And for Cape Breton, the high temperatures between 5 and 9. On the north shore of Nova Scotia, most of the high temperatures between 9 and 11. And for coastal areas on the eastern shore, the high temperatures between 5 and 9 degrees. 11 for Amherst and Truro for tomorrow, 10 for Enfield, 7 degrees for the city centers Halifax and Dartmouth. A little bit cooler at Chester and Lunenburg, near 5 degrees for those coastal areas as that south wind comes in off of ocean waters that are still only hovering around, say, 2 degrees or so. 10 for Caledonia for tomorrow in the Annapolis Valley with high temperatures near 11. In the extended forecast, we do have some April rain and some showers coming up Friday night into Saturday. That is that cold front that I was talking about. It arrives first into New Brunswick Friday night and then clears that province on Saturday. Temperatures a little bit cooler directly in behind it. Sunshine returns, though, for Sunday. There's rain in the forecast for Monday of next week. And on Tuesday, it looks like we'll be in a southerly flow. And that's going to bump those temperatures up into the teens. So it does still come in with a chance of some showers. For Nova Scotia in the forecast, we've got some sunshine over the next couple of days and showers for Saturday as that cold front moves through. Sunny for Sunday. That's followed by rain in the forecast for Monday of next week. A chance of showers on Tuesday and Wednesday. The temperatures a fair bit on the milder side. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, it's sunshine through both Thursday and Friday. Friday's high temperatures near 12 degrees. Cools down to around 5, though, on Saturday with showers in the forecast, and then 5 degrees and sunny on Sunday. Rain in the forecast for Monday of next week. Temperatures milder Tuesday into Wednesday, but a chance of showers for both of those days. Todd.
See you next from the weather deck.
You bet.
Both sides in the war in Iran are claiming victory. There is a tenuous ceasefire, but what has actually changed? We will speak with an expert about the prospect of real peace. But first, we'll have this report.
The White House today is taking a victory lap over the 2-week ceasefire with Iran, but also calling it a fragile truce. I'm ABC's Karen Travers at the White House. All of the latest coming up.
Okay, so coming up tomorrow, another chance to win that $100 gas card.
That'll be right around 7:30.
And we'll let you know how you could win $1,000 cash plus a trip to Toronto.
After the United States and Iran agreed to a temporary 2-week ceasefire, both sides are claiming victory in the war. But will the end of hostilities actually hold, and could it bring lasting peace? The latest now from ABC's Karen Travers.
The White House today taking a victory lap over the 2-week ceasefire with Iran.
The United States has achieved and exceeded those core military objectives in just 38 days.
But Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt later reiterating what Vice President Vance said earlier today, calling it a fragile truce. Iran now threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz unless Israel stops its ongoing strikes in Lebanon. Lebanese officials say more than 250 people were killed today after Israeli strikes hit several buildings in central Beirut. Iran's foreign minister saying Lebanon must be part of the ceasefire. The White House says it is not. President Trump today claiming the U.S. will be helping with the traffic buildup in the Strait of Hormuz, but didn't say how. The White House did not answer when pressed on who controls the strait right now and who will going forward.
He wants to see the strait reopened immediately without limitation, and that's something we're going to hold them to.
In Tehran, demonstrators took to the streets to celebrate the ceasefire, some still chanting death to America and death to Israel.
We are not putting any trust on the other side, so our military forces are keeping their preparedness.
The Trump administration says U.S. forces will not leave the region anytime soon.
Yeah, we'll be hanging around. We're not going anywhere. We're going to make sure Iran complies with this ceasefire.
On the news of the ceasefire, oil prices plummeting today by nearly 20%. The White House announced that talks with Iran will take place in Pakistan on Saturday, with Vice President Vance, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner representing the U.S. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
We want to talk more about options, what might come next out of all of this. Peter Van Prague is president of the annual Halifax International Security Forum. He's in Washington, where, Peter, I can imagine this is the only thing folks are talking about.
It is, and it's been the only thing that people have been talking about for quite some time. Yeah. And as pointed out, things are moving so fast. There's a ceasefire announced just yesterday, but already, we don't know how long that ceasefire is. That ceasefire that was scheduled for 2 weeks, how long it's really going to hold. So there are still a lot of questions.
That was my next question. How fragile is this? Do you think we'll even see 2 weeks out of this?
We don't know. We don't know right now. The ceasefire essentially was Iran's 10 points. These are not American points. These were the points that were written by Iran and pushed on to the United States. They include reparations. They include the freedom to enrich their nuclear materials and control of the Straits of Hormuz, none of which, and then they've been agreed to by the United States as the basis for a starting point for discussions over the next 2 weeks. So none of these really are things that President Trump has said that the United States can agree to. So they are still very, very far apart. And whether or not they can get closer together in the next 2 weeks really remains to be seen. What we now know that we didn't know before the war started is that Iran can stop traffic in the Straits of Hormuz, and the United States can do very little to stop the Iranians from stopping that traffic.
Do you think that's come as a surprise even to the Iranians?
Yes, it has. And this is one of the risks of actually starting a war, is that before the war was started, nobody was quite sure what the limits, or if there were any limits, of American military power. And now, as lethal and effective and as accurate as the American military has been, the world has now actually seen the limits of American military power as well. and that actually makes the United States weaker in these negotiations, much weaker, not stronger. And the result of that is the Iranian regime that is still in power, new leaders, but still in power, is much stronger than we in Canada or anywhere in the world want it to be.
How dangerous is it when you have both sides essentially claiming victory?
Yeah, that part is not so unusual. There's, to have a ceasefire where both sides are claiming victory. The problem with this one specifically, Todd, is that the world can see which side is still standing. So despite incredible losses on the Iranian side, the regime is still there. They've stood up to American power, which is all they had to do. This was a war of choice for the United States, but it was an existential war for Iran and the Iranian regime. As evil as it is, and I use that word, it's evil. It's a bad group of people. They're still standing, and that is dangerous for the entire region. And so nobody can be very happy with where we are right now.
There is the wrinkle of Israel, meanwhile, saying that the ceasefire doesn't affect its attacks on Hezbollah and Lebanon. So how will that factor into this?
Well, we don't know. I mean, there's just so much uncertainty still and ambiguity that we just simply don't know. On one hand, it's been said that the ceasefire does include Israel and its actions in Lebanon. The Israelis have said that it does not. And there from what I understand from the reporting, there continues to be Israeli attacks in Lebanon. I think just recently, the latest I heard were 100 people were just killed in Lebanon today. And so as a result of that, Iran is going to say that parts of the ceasefire are broken, and then they can hold up traffic in the Straits of Hormuz. So we just don't know what comes next, and frankly, we don't know what American options are left on the table. Because we've seen that the United States the president is using rhetoric that has really never been used by an American president before. It has threatened all sorts of different things, and yet here we are.
How did it come to be that Pakistan is leading the way in these talks, mediator?
Well, Pakistan volunteered, and I agree by the nature of your question that it's a surprise, because Pakistan is not the close partner of the United States that it once was. Pakistan is now very, very close to China, and the Chinese representative in Pakistan was in the room for these negotiations. And so it's important to understand, and for our viewers to understand in Canada, that China played a big role in this as well. So, at the end of the day, the security situation today, really, I'm afraid to say, is worse than it was before this war started. The limits of American power have been exposed for everybody to see, and the Chinese are playing an important role, and the Russians got quite a bit richer as a result, and are going to be able to spend that money in their campaign against Ukraine. So this has not been a good month for the United States.
Certainly sobering. Peter, thank you very much for your perspective on all of this. Peter Van Prague, of course, with the Security Forum, and he is in Washington. Now, we want to make this the subject of our web poll tonight, and we are asking this. What is your opinion about the temporary ceasefire in the Middle East? And your options are, I don't think it'll last. I think it could lead to lasting peace in the region, or it's too early to tell. Of course, we'd like to hear from you at ctvnewsatlantic.ca, and we'll be right back. In health news tonight, the link between long-term alcohol use and the risk of colorectal cancer. CTV's Amanda Debison has more in the midweek installment of The Lifeline.
Alcohol use has long been linked to cancer, but new research shows how much and how consistent that use is over a lifetime may affect your risk. A study published in the journal Cancer found that people who drank heavily over their lifetime faced a much higher risk of colorectal cancer. Those who averaged more than 14 drinks a week had about a 25% higher risk of colorectal cancer compared to light drinkers. The risk was even greater for rectal cancer, where it nearly doubled. The highest risk was seen in people who consistently drank heavily at every stage of adult life, with up to a 91% increase in cancer risk. The study also found that those who stopped drinking had lower risk of certain precancerous polyps, suggesting potential benefits of alcohol reduction even when done later in life. Transplant surgeries are on the rise in Canada, and the latest year's data also shows an increase in living donors. The Canadian Institute for Health Information also says there's been a decrease in deceased organ donors, but more research is needed to know why. Living donors can only provide a kidney or part of a liver, so most organ transplants rely on deceased donors. The data was released on Green Shirt Day, a national campaign to encourage people to register as organ donors. Finally, researchers in Mexico have developed a robotic arm they say is easier than ever to use. The E-Ready arm is made by scientists at the University of Guadalajara. They say this arm reduces the complexity, which often leads patients to ditch their prosthetic devices. E-Ready uses muscle sensors in the socket, which allows users to train their brains to operate the limb through neuroplasticity. Future versions will also include a Bluetooth-enabled microphone to allow for even more complex hand movements. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Devison for the Lifeline.
With Aaron and Peter. Did you hear that we're sending you to see Bruno Mars live in Toronto?
Just listen to Move 100 on the iHeartRadio app for 10 minutes each day, and you're in to win.
On the markets, the Dow Jones ended the trading day up 1,300 points. That's because the price of oil dropped dramatically today with the announcement of that ceasefire in the Middle East. Let's get more now from B&M Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez.
West Texas Intermediate dropped almost 15% today on hopes that more tankers will start moving again through the Strait of Hormuz. Oil backed off, and so did many other energy stocks as other sectors gained, like consumer discretionary. Aritzia, a Canadian clothing retailer, was up 9.5%. The key North American markets all gained between 1% and 3% today. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 72.24. West Texas Intermediate is down over $18 to 94.41. Western Canadian Select is up just a bit to 79.64, and the TSX gained 383 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Kaylin, last night we talked about the possibility of snow piling up on things like the barbecue and railings of the deck, and you've got a clever viewer who sent in something that's apropos.
I didn't think about the sneakers, Todd. So let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. This is a great one. This is coming in from Dan Roy, Halifax, Nova Scotia. I want to thank Dan very much for sharing this picture with us. And yeah, that little bit of snow snuck into the province last night and collected a little bit here on top of Dan's sneakers, which were outside. Don't worry, Dan, we've got some sunshine in the forecast for the next couple of days. We'll get those sneakers all dried out for you. Snow certainly didn't last long for today as the sun came out in behind it. Typical sort of spring snow event. Halifax for tomorrow. Well, it's going to be a clear and brisk start to the day. The afternoon sunny, high temperature near 7 degrees because there will be a little bit of an onshore wind. That's for the city centers, Halifax and Dartmouth. If you're a little bit further inland, you can probably expect the high temperature to get closer towards 10. Taking a look at our day planner for tomorrow across the maritime region, morning temperatures will be a few to several degrees below the freezing mark. It's the coldest there for communities in the north of New Brunswick, but a very sunny morning, and that leads into a sunny afternoon with a lot of high temperatures in the Maritimes tomorrow, coming up between 7 and 11 degrees, south wind with some gusts of 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Todd.
Helen, how refreshing to see nothing but sunshine on that.
It sure is.
That's great. You have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Well, that'll do it for us tonight. That is our look at the day here at home. Stephanie Seacoast is here with the late update at 11:30, and you can get updates anytime at our website and the CTV News app. I'm Todd Battis. Hope you'll join us again tomorrow night. Till then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.